For decades, in the most diverse corners of the planet, pilots, eyewitnesses, and even scientists have encountered something that defies explanation. These objects ignore the laws of physics and do not fit within the framework of the technology we know. From a perfectly polished metallic sphere with mysterious symbols to a glowing orb hovering over a military base and unnoticed by any radar, the evidence is no longer part of fantasy. It is time to learn the truth. Enjoy watching. March of 2025, the sky over the city of Buga, Colombia. People watch in astonishment as a mysterious metallic sphere hovers in the air, performing movements that completely fall outside the bounds of familiar aviation. When it was finally retrieved, scientists found themselves facing a real puzzle. The weight, about 2 kilograms, no seams, no joints. The surface is absolutely smooth, as if cast in one piece. It gives the impression that the item was assembled with technologies that humanity simply does not possess. X-ray imaging showed, inside, there are 3 concentric layers of metal surrounding 18 microspheres, arranged in a circle around a mysterious core that specialists nicknamed the chip. There are no signs of assembly. Everything is perfectly calibrated. Some experts have already begun to doubt, could humans have created such a thing at all? But that is not all. The outer shell was covered with inscriptions resembling ancient texts, from Agamemnian symbols to Mesopotamian cuneiform. An artificial intelligence connected to translation provided a preliminary interpretation. The texts speak of unity, transformation, and care for the planet. An interesting fact, upon touch, the sphere felt icy, like a refrigerator. But if you pour water on it, the water evaporates instantly. That means there is extreme heat inside, hidden behind a cold shell. One person who touched the object complained of worsening health. Hence a logical question. Perhaps the sphere emits something that we do not yet know about. Dr. Jose Luis Velasquez calls the find potentially extraterrestrial, and Dr. Julia Mossbridge from the University of San Diego urges caution, suggesting that what we have before us could also be a complex art object. But in any case, one thing is clear. Humanity has encountered something that challenges everything we knew about materials and technologies. What would you do if a huge unidentified object hovered right above you, with fighter jets circling nearby? This is exactly what happened in August of 1990 in Scotland. 2 tourists during a hike in the mountains witnessed something incredible and managed to photograph it. This became known as the Calvine incident. For more than 30 years, the photograph was kept in the archives of the United Kingdom's Ministry of Defense, as if they were afraid to show it to the world. In the shot, a gigantic object, as if suspended in the air, resembling a metallic diamond. It was incredibly sharp, without blurring or camera shake. This very sharpness became the main riddle. The photo looked too real to be a fake. According to eyewitness accounts, the object was approximately 30 meters in width, hung motionless for about 10 minutes, and a military fighter circled nearby as if escorting or studying it. When in 2022 the journalist David Clark gained access to the original, it sparked a new round of discussion. Was this the clearest photograph of a UFO in history? Or are we looking at a secret experiment that the government preferred to keep quiet about? Why was the shot hidden from the public for more than 30 years if it was just an airplane? There are no answers, but the very fact of such secrecy says more than any words. Spring of 2025. Above a military base in Tennessee, something lights up in the sky. But it is not a drone, and certainly not an airplane. What then did the eyewitnesses see? It was a bright, blazing orange orb hovering in complete silence. The shape, an ideal sphere. The light, continuous, without blinking. It made no sound, did not tremble, did not move like an airplane or a helicopter. It simply hung in the air. And this was seen by dozens of people, soldiers, officers, civilians, and even local residents outside the base. But here, is what truly amazed everyone. Neither thermal imagers nor radars. Nothing recorded it. By all instruments, the object did not exist. And then it shot straight up and disappeared into the clouds. No noise, no trace, no heat signature, as if it had never been there. The military are silent. There are no flight logs for that area, and more questions arise. Did we see advanced spy technology? Or did we encounter something not of this world? Imagine, you are a pilot and, at an altitude of more than 6 kilometers, right under the wing of your aircraft, something the size of a soccer ball flashes past. And it is not a bird, not a drone, and certainly not a balloon. This is exactly what happened to a United States Air Force pilot during a training flight over the western part of the country at the beginning of 2025. Thanks to a leak, a real audio recording hit the internet, and it stunned even seasoned aviation specialists. By his description, the object was metallic, perfectly round, the size of a standard soccer ball, moving at enormous speed and flying parallel to the ground, stable and controlled. And now, the most astonishing part? Controllers at the Air Traffic Control Center confirmed there was not a single aircraft nearby, and the radars were silent. That is, in airspace where there should not have been anything, an object appears flying at an altitude of 21,000 feet, invisible to radars, with motion that defies logic. Was it ultra-secret reconnaissance technology, or something beyond the bounds of human technologies? There are no official comments, and the recording, according to sources, was never supposed to reach the public. But now, it is here. And the main question remains open. How do we explain a phenomenon that simultaneously contradicts both aerodynamics and logic? We return to 2019, the coast of San Diego, California. A United States Navy warship, the USS Omaha, records an object that literally throws the entire crew off balance. On the screens, a spherical body moving intelligently, at high speed, changing trajectory, and disappearing. Not in the sky, but in the water. This is not a recording from a mobile phone somewhere in a field. This is high-precision thermal imagers, radars, and video capture from a warship. Everything was documented in real time. The object moved at a speed of almost 160 kilometers per hour. No wings, no engine, no exhaust. It hovered and maneuvered, and then it dove into the ocean, without a splash, without a sound. The military immediately began an underwater search with the help of submersible vehicles. And what did they find? Nothing. No debris, no bubbles, no signs of an impact with the water. The Pentagon confirmed, yes, the footage is authentic, but no official version of what it was provided. No known technology, neither American nor foreign, is capable of such things. This object could move freely both in the sky and underwater, as if we were seeing a demonstration of capabilities from science fiction. Only it was reality, and this reality tells us we are still far from knowing everything about the world around us. February of 2023, the sky over the territory of Yukon, Canada. At an altitude of more than 12,000 meters, an unknown object is recorded. Not a drone, not a balloon. It moved in a straight line, steadily, as if testing the limits of our radars. The United States military scrambled F-22 fighters. Within a few minutes, the object was shot down. But the story was only beginning. Teams set out to search. But at the crash site, emptiness. No parts, no debris, not even signs that the object fell at all. Only icy silence. The only thing that was made public later, a photo of a strange metallic capsule without any control systems or exhaust. A perfectly smooth cylinder without antennas, without joints, completely silent. Why did it appear? Why in that particular spot? How could it be that it was shot down, and yet no traces remained? No country claimed responsibility. No manufacturer recognized it as their device. And the militaries of Canada and the United States limited themselves to vague comments. It definitely was not a weather balloon. If an object of this type can calmly enter protected airspace, react to interception, and disappear, then we are dealing with something that does not yet fit within our understanding. Now let us move to the past. 1950, Yamhill County, State of Oregon, United States. An ordinary evening walk on a farm turns into a historic moment. On May 11th, Evelyn Trent went out to feed the animals and noticed something strange in the sky. A metallic object hovering in complete silence. She immediately called her husband and he managed to take 2 photographs. Thus appeared the famous McMinnville photographs, some of the clearest images of UFOs in all of history. The object looked like an upside-down flying saucer. No blurring, no glare, no suspicion of compositing, a distinctly visible structure in the air. Experts studied the film for decades. The United States Air Force, independent photographers, even skeptics. No one found traces of forgery. Light and shadows match the position of the sun on that day. All technical parameters impeccable. The photographs made it into Life magazine and caused a furor. And to this day, they remain the subject of discussion. How did 2 simple farmers manage to take such shots without falsification? If this is not evidence, then what can be considered real? And now, an event that happened right before everyone's eyes. A bright day, a crowd of thousands of spectators, and a show by the American aerobatic team, the Blue Angels. And suddenly, something streaks across the sky at such speed the cameras barely manage to capture it. An unexpected dark object crosses the sky diagonally, instantly, like an arrow. It was not part of the show. It had no wings, left no contrail, and made no sound. It was recorded on video by several spectators at once, and even with frame-by-frame viewing, the object is barely noticeable. By eyewitness estimates, it moved at several hundred miles per hour, but showed no signs of a propulsion system. This is not a camera glitch. This is not a bird. This is not one of the participating aircraft. And that is the key difference. Because the Blue Angels are a strictly controlled air show where every craft in the sky is accounted for and documented. And if something gets into the shot but is not listed in the schedule, then it should not be there. What was it? A high-speed drone? Or a phenomenon that undermines our notions of control over our airspace? One thing is clear, if something can freely penetrate the sky right during a military show, imagine what it could do on another day when no one is looking at it. California, 2024. Strange lights flare up over the cities of Palmdale and Lancaster. Local residents, the inhabitants of the Antelope Valley, share videos and stories in a panic. They are here again. One person writes, "At first I thought drone. Then I realized no. They moved too fast and unnaturally. Glowing spheres swept across the sky. They could hover in place, change direction sharply, and disappear, only to appear in another area a second later. No sounds, no navigation lights. Perfect silence. Some objects moved in formation, a triangle of 3 bright points, synchronously, smoothly, without blinking, and without deviating." One of the witnesses said, "It is as if there is a huge lantern in the sky, but without a beam of light." Where did this happen? Not far from Air Force Plant 42, a site where the most secret airplanes and technologies are developed. But even despite such a neighborhood, no tests were conducted that night, no official flights. And again, the radars are silent. The cameras record, people see. What was it? The newest experimental technology? Or something that does not fit into any known category? When the same object is seen simultaneously by dozens of people in different districts, ignoring this is no longer possible. Perhaps it is time to stop asking, "Are UFOs real?" and start asking another question. Why do they appear here again and again? February 18th, 2024. Lucca, Italy. Over the picturesque Tuscan landscape hovers something that many called a cylinder from the future. No wings, no noise, only an elongated metallic cigar-shaped object moving with frightening stability. Eyewitnesses recorded it on video, and these frames quickly spread across social networks. The object did not drift, did not flip, did not sway. It flew straight, as if along a predetermined route at a constant altitude, and suddenly disappeared behind the clouds. According to witnesses, its length was about 10 to 15 meters, the size of a standard school bus. But no services recorded a single flight in that sector. If it had been an airship or an aerostat, it would have wobbled, rotated, responded to the wind. But this object behaved, too, precisely, as if it knew what it was doing. It is noteworthy. The Lucca region has long been a kind of quiet zone for strange sightings, but this case became the most obvious and impressive of all time. So what was it? A new type of reconnaissance craft? Or proof that technologies whose origin we do not understand have long been flying above our heads? A photo that appeared only in 2025 is already being called the largest piece of evidence in all of history. The shot was taken back in 2021 from the cockpit of a passenger airliner flying over the place where the borders of 4 states converge: Utah, Colorado, Arizona, and New Mexico. In the frame, something enormous. A black, angular, geometrically precise object hovering in the air. Its length, about 300 meters. It is as if the Empire State Building were laid on its side and suspended in the sky. And the main thing, it stayed in place, right in a zone where controlled air routes pass. It was shot by the pilot, using professional equipment right from the cockpit. Everything is documented. Analysts who studied the photo described it as flat, sort of stealth-like, with no external structures. Passengers on board also noticed the object. It was not an illusion, not a play of light, and not a camera defect. And again, not a single radar noticed it. What was it then? A huge military airship? An atmospheric glitch? Or a gigantic craft that we are not being told about? This incident has already become a legend. Even ardent skeptics cannot pass by the case that occurred off the coast of California in 2004. What the naval aviators saw violated all known laws of aerodynamics. This object was nicknamed Tic Tac, and not without reason. During routine training of the USS Nimitz carrier group, radars recorded something strange. The object plummeted rapidly, from an altitude of more than 24 kilometers down to sea level, in a fraction of a second. Not a single known aircraft is capable of such a thing. Commander David Fravor and his team were ordered to intercept. Approaching, they saw something white, smooth, elongated in shape, without wings, without exhaust, and absolutely silent. The size, approximately that of a school bus. But the story does not end there. All this was recorded by FLIR, an infrared camera system mounted on the fighter. And the footage where the object instantly accelerates and disappears from the field of view was later confirmed by the Pentagon as authentic. There is another interesting fact. Part of the recorded material was allegedly seized by unknown individuals right on board the ship and taken away to an unknown destination. This only strengthened rumors of a cover-up. So what was it? A breakthrough technology? Or guests from afar? 2024, Fujian Province, China. What happened there in one night was captured by hundreds of cameras and phones and became a viral phenomenon. People from different cities, dozens, if not hundreds, simultaneously observed the same thing, a strange glowing object hovering above the clouds. It was clearly structured, emitted a soft white-blue light, and seemed to pulse. Its outlines changed slightly, but it moved strictly and steadily, as if it were under someone's control. Videos show how the object hovered in the sky for a long time, and then shot vertically upward, disappearing into the atmosphere. All without jerks, without noise, without a trace. And this is no coincidence. That evening, there were no rocket tests, no satellite launches, and no military exercises. Local authorities gave no explanation. On social networks, the videos spread instantly. Chinese forums filled with eyewitness reports. People posted footage from different angles, and in all of them, the same phenomenon. When hundreds of people in different cities see the same thing at the same time, this is not a hallucination. And the question here is no longer, did this happen, but what was it and where did it come from? Her name was Michelle Reyes, and she was simply preparing to fly with her daughter. Nothing unusual, but she became the author of one of the most discussed UFO videos in the world. The beginning of 2024, a routine flight over New York. Michelle, looking out the window, suddenly notices something strange, an object hovering at altitude, almost at the level of the aircraft. It moved at the same pace as the airliner, keeping its distance. Michelle turned on the camera, and what she recorded is truly mesmerizing. In the footage, a dark, sharply outlined object. No lights, no wings, no oscillations. It did not resemble a drone, nor an airplane, nor a balloon. Michelle's daughter, sitting next to her, also saw the object. Their reaction, a mixture of curiosity and concern. No panic, but full awareness. Before them was something completely inconceivable. The video quickly went viral. Even seasoned experts admitted, this is not a camera glitch and not a glare. The object moved too precisely to be a shooting artifact. But here is what is most alarming. There was not a single recorded flight in that area. Not a single radar tracked a foreign object. And all this over one of the most congested airspaces on the planet. How is that possible? What technology allows such maneuvering and remaining invisible? Thank you for watching to the end. If you found this interesting, do not forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell. Leave a comment. Which of the episodes impressed you the most? See you in the next episode. And do not forget, the truth is much closer than you think.